Welcome back. Today marks World Cancer Day. It aims to raise awareness, improve education and increase access to life-saving treatment for all.
Medical experts are urging people to go for regular screening and testing for early detection. To discuss this, campaign for it, so of course we're joined by Lorraine Govender from Cansa. A very good morning to you, Lorraine. Thank you so much for your time. We've been having conversations, at length this morning about just some of the contributing factors as to why we're seeing not enough, testing and screening. And one of the things that come out, at least, is besides, of course, access to it, it's also just, I'll speak from a male point of view, the fear of finding out what it is you could be dealing with. So as I was even saying a little earlier on to Dr. Chris van Straten, is that you know better, and when you know better, you're supposed to do better. But some people know better and are just too scared to do better.
Good morning. Thank you. I agree with you. The fear is sometimes can be a debilitating factor in accessing screening, definitely.
When we're taking a look, Lorraine, at perhaps some of the contributing factors that, we're not finding as much screening, and I know that the big tagline really is early detection saves lives. So to be able to detect early, you need to be able to go for screening. But there's certain conditions, I'm sure, that people are under that prevent such or even hamper such from happening. Just talk to us a little bit about some of the realities that people are actually facing en masse that actually may prevent or contribute to the prevention of early detection.
I think something that you've touched on earlier on is definitely the fear. But I think more importantly is the access. And we all know that, there isn't enough equitable access to cancer screening and treatment. But on the other hand, we also find that individuals often don't know what should they be doing, or except for screening, we can also reduce our cancer risk. And people, often don't think about that. What can I do to change my lifestyle in order for me to decrease my cancer incidence? And I think, Faith, that's important, because it's not only about screening, it's also about making lifestyle changes. And if you just think about some of the contributing factors like tobacco use and alcohol, obesity and overweight, those are three important factors that people can make changes with, just adopting healthy living and changing the way you want to live your life can change that. But going back to screening, we often don't know what cancer screening, we also get calls from people saying, can I have a cancer test so that I don't get cancer? So yes, we can definitely talk about that now as well.
Just how bad is the situation? I mean, we're talking about screening and testing, campaigning for it, urging people to do it, but just how bad is it? What, just on a random day, medical professionals, how few people are they seeing coming through and testing for this and actually wanting to look after themselves?
So I think, if we just look at the COVID situation that we faced, a lot of people during that period didn't go for screening because, they couldn't access a lot of the treatment centers and the screening services. So what we are seeing now, we are definitely seeing people coming in with late stage cancers. Some of them have been missed through the system, and definitely some of them are presenting now with stage 4 cancers. So it is quite a scary situation right now. But on the other hand, there's also hope. We're also seeing more and more people now going in for screening as opposed to before. So definitely it's all about the fact that people now are aware, what, I need to go in for screening and this is what I need to probably do. So yes, it is scary, but on the other hand, I think there are more people that are going in. So when you think about screening, as you just touched on earlier on, men often ask, okay, so what screening can I go for? So if you just look at breast cancer, 1% of men get breast cancer. But how many of men, actually know that they should be doing a breast cancer screening, that they can check the breast for lumps? We always talk about women going in for it, and men often don't think, but I'm going to get breast cancer. Now, prostate cancer is the most common cancer among men. And I was on doing an interview the other day on radio, and there was a gentleman that called in and said, okay, if prostate cancer is so common, can't I just remove my prostate gland? So definitely we don't want that situation, because the prostate gland has a purpose. But on the other hand, if you think about prostate cancer, because there isn't routine screening available in the public sector, so if men present with symptoms for prostate cancer, they can't go routinely in for a prostate cancer test, which is a blood test. They would need to present with symptoms and then access the treatment center to have tests done. So just looking at that sort of factor can delay treatment for prostate cancer because the whole system doesn't work for them. On the other hand, if you look at women and if you think about pap smears, how many women actually go in for that? We always have that fear, oh gosh, I think it's going to be serious. And, we put the fear factor in and it stops us from going in for that. And if you think about cervical cancer, more women in our country are dying from cervical cancer. Yet, the good news, we have a vaccine called the HPV vaccination that's freely available in the public sector to adolescent girls between the age of 9 and 14. And I want to appeal to viewers, when you get that consent from the Department of Health, please sign it. Allow your child to go in for that vaccination and we can eliminate cervical cancer in our country. Something so small but so huge. And then if you think about breast cancer, it's the most common cancer among women. How many women actually do that breast cancer self-examination, breast cancer examination? People don't do that. So except for going in for to the treatment center for screening, we as individuals can make lifestyle changes to decrease our cancer risk.
Absolutely right, Lorraine. But in that, I think questions need to be raised about still the prevalence of stigma. And it's quite sad to be speaking about stigma in 2023. But do we still have pockets of society where as soon as you say cancer, it's like everybody hides under the rug?
Definitely, Faith. And I think when you think about that, it's so important, that stigma, we need to remove the stigma because, yes, there's a lot of myths around where, it's witchcraft or, maybe the black population don't get cancer. So there is definitely myths around it. And if you just touch on lung cancer is the third most common cancer, among men, and it's among the top 5 cancers among the public. So the stigma around lung cancer, the fact that it is, associated with smoking, people often feel that if I go in and access treatment or go in for tests, someone is going to pick up that, I smoked and that's why I got lung cancer. So it's almost like self-inflicted. But not all lung cancers are due to tobacco use. So yes, there is definitely stigma around that, but we must also remember that cancer there is a genetic factor associated to it, and if we don't talk about our cancer incidents to our family, to the next generation, people are not going to know, hey, you know what, I could have a genetic predisposition to that cancer.
Just before we let you go, Lorraine, there's been a belief among the male population that certain cancers only hit you after a certain age. So I'm a 32-year-old, and as a 32-year-old, I'm sitting here thinking that a colon cancer or a pancreatic cancer can only hit you at around 41, 42, and that's when most men, even, among themselves, encourage each other to, no, you must go check it at a certain age. So, which essentially then gives us, we rest on our laurels and we continue to live these unhealthy lifestyles and not change our lives in our 30s because we're thinking, I'm still fresh, I'm still young, none of these things can hit me now, and yet you realize that actually it's happening a little earlier. How early should I be going for these tests that have been, put out as though it's tests for 40-year-olds?
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for bringing up colorectal cancer. While I was on radio the other day, there was a caller and she mentioned having a son, a 30-year-old son, who was picked up with stage 4 cancer, colorectal cancer, and within a month he passed on. So when you think about colorectal cancer, it's the third most common cancer in our country. And why? Why is it so? It's definitely lifestyle related. But unfortunately, there isn't a particular test that you can go in to just check colorectal cancer. But we need to start, we must remember that cancer, whatever we take now, whatever we do now, affects us later. So colorectal cancer, we need to start making that changes in terms of what we eat, what we drink, because it is a common cancer. And just getting physically active, bringing down your weight, all of that are contributing factors to reduce your cancer risk. And yes, when you do present with symptoms, please don't self-diagnose. Go in to your healthcare professional, go in to see a doctor, go to your clinic and tell them about the symptoms you're presenting. And again, it's not people, healthcare professionals also often think, oh, you know what, cancer is not going to affect a young person. But you as an individual, it's your right to question, it's your right to go for a second opinion, and it's your right to actually ask for further investigations, because your body always tells you when something is wrong. Listen to it and act on it.
I love the way that you said that. Lorraine, we have to leave it there for this morning, but thank you so much for your insights. Lorraine Govender from Cansa, just giving us the latest on that. Just treating your body like the temple that it is, and not being afraid to even confront something that is actually treatable. It's just that it gets detected much later, and that's where the problem actually starts. Just Lorraine giving us the latest on that.